So on Monday, about 40 minutes before going live, Chibi Reviews was swatted, and obviously we touched on it. We were very happy to hear that he was okay, but we also didn't have a whole lot of information because it had just happened. Well, it looks like we might get to know some more now because he released this video right here, the lolly situation that almost got me killed by police. Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and we're certainly going to go through this and figure out if there's any more information that's been dropped because this was crazy, and I said this on the show Monday, and I'm going to reiterate it. My exact words. Imagine committing a federal offense because you say spaghetti that some homeboys just want to see more panties in anime. So we're going to get into this. Before we do, hit that subscribe button on the Nerdy News channel. I cover nerdy news every day. And let's see what we got here.
We got to zoom in on this real quick and really analyze this character design. These straps right here are doing so much for this character.
And 7 seconds in, we start with the goonin. 7 seconds in, we start with the goonin. Now, obviously, there is no justification for swatting somebody. But homie really playing with fire now, and I dig it, because you can't back down. You can never show weakness to these people. Well played.
I gotta say, this is amazing. I want more of this. Give me more of this ZZZ. What I just said there was enough for people to advocate for my murder. You think I'm overreacting? I'm not. 2 days ago, I had police show up at my household saying that I was acting crazy, waving around a knife, threatening myself, threatening others. I was a danger to people around me. And
mind you, it does not matter that they just knocked on his door and whatnot, and I'm sure he'll get into it, but I just want to point out, he is not over-exaggerating whatsoever when he says, could have killed me. Like, that is the intent of a swatting. The intent of a swatting, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it should be considered attempted murder. And it might be in some states. It's a federal crime. Obviously, there's going to be additional crimes to go with it. Maybe in some areas, it is considered an attempted murder. But that is absolutely what could have happened.
this false call that was called in was obviously an attempt to end my life. Literally 2 days ago could have been the last day I was breathing on this planet if the police officers went into the situation without being calm or understanding that most likely something feels very off about the entire situation. If it was someone that was unprofessional, not trained, and didn't handle it right, I legitimately would be dead right now. And the reason for that is because of my opinions on anime characters, drawings, censorship, and just my personal beliefs.
Yeah, mind you, I hadn't thought about this on Monday when we were talking about it on the show. I don't think it's just his thoughts on anime, just his thoughts on lollies, just his thoughts on censorship. All that, I'm sure, does play a role. What also occurred to me, literally a day or two prior, he had made a statement on X stating that, hey, I don't believe ICE is perfect, but they are objectively a good thing, and I want them to continue doing good work. And I thought, you know what? Maybe that's what it is. I can't believe I hadn't thought about it at that point. Because, let's be real, in today's modern society on the internet, people are so socially inept. Attempted murder over him, like, wanting to see sexy female characters with some nice anime titties and shit. Yeah, I can kind of fucking see it. I can see people being that loony up in the noggin. But then I totally forgot that he had made that statement about ICE. And that's probably the actual reason that this happened.
Apparently, me talking is enough to make someone so angry that they will have police come to my doorstep with a false call and potentially try to get a situation to where I either am thrown in prison or I die. That's crazy. That's actually crazy. And so in the spirit of spiting those that wish to silence me and wish to shut me up about these topics, I'm making a full-blown video talking about the lolly situation.
Let's go.
I've been very vocal about this, especially a few days ago when I made the video talking about ZZZ and this character design and how I think people are overreacting.
And after that, you should make a full-blown video talking about what anime characters join ICE. Chibi, if you see this, hit me up. Let's organize a stream. I'm being dead serious. I'm being dead serious right now. Anybody watching this, if you want to tag Chibi on next, here's my proposal, Chibi. You and I do a stream together. Best anime characters, anime characters that would make the best ICE officers. Let's do it. Let's do the anime ICE officer tier list. I shit you not, it would be glorious. Let's go. Let's do it.
It's just pixels, separate fiction from reality, you know, the typical stuff I've said on social media, and I've also implied in videos. But I want to take a few moments to really just talk about lolly as a whole, and kind of just how much the anime community has shifted from not just, let's say, the 2000s to the 90s to the 80s, but I'm strictly talking about the 2010s. Even in the 2010s, you had people, content creators, massive content creators, that looked at this type of stuff and didn't bat an eye, they didn't care. Hell, they even joked about it. And so,
one of the biggest things to do back in the day. Back in the day on YouTube, one of the classic things to do was do Boku no Pico reactions. Now, if you're not ingratiated in the anime community, or if you're young, if you know, you know.
let's go into, video number 1.
Here, we're doing the math now, and nothing, not even that lolly on the other page, is sexier than math.
This is a real clip from MatPat that he uploaded on his channel in the 2010s. And I will have a link to this video actually in the description for those that don't believe me or think this is AI generated. But MatPat was covering Sword Art Online, and he threw in this joke about lollies in the video. And if he was to make this same type of joke in the 2020s, the overall blowback, the slander, and harassment would be insane. And I'm willing to bet you, if MatPat was still making videos like front and center videos, there's no way a joke like this would be put into one of his videos.
He's 100% correct. He is 100% correct. And this goes beyond the lolly stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. I ain't got no issue with fucking lollies, right? Like lolly characters, the whole nine. I've made this abundantly clear, and I'll make it clear again. I don't care. Lolly has been a central point of Japanese art shit for as long as I can remember. Now, do I find dudes who sit there and like crank into cartoon characters weird? Sure. But it ain't fucking illegal. It's a goddamn drawing. I'm gonna keep it at that.
In the 2020s because of just the conversation around anime and manga. And I think we all know this. I've already talked about it, so I want to get around this very quickly. But the 2020s has led to a lot of people that really don't understand anime and manga culture, people that can't separate fiction from reality, infiltrating the culture, trying to change the culture, try to censor the culture, and also not being able to separate fiction from reality. And there's just also a lot of virtue signalers that has been thrown into the mix. And it's led to a situation where you can't have conversations about this, you can't make edgy comments or anything like that, funny jokes or anything, because people are not able to have a conversation around dark themes without getting all upset and feeling like they're getting attacked to some degree, even though it is fictional content. Mushoku Tensei is a very good example of this, of how people get so violently upset about MT despite it just being a work of fiction. But let's get back into the topic. MatPat here made this back in the 2010s, and it is very obvious that it didn't bother him at all. He didn't care. He literally called a lolly character sexy. And I think that says enough about his statement or his stance on just how he's able to separate fiction from reality. Let's move on to the second.
Not only is he able to separate fiction and reality, I want to point out, which is, in my opinion, even more important. Like, obviously being able to delineate between fiction and reality is important. But it's the fact that it's a joke. It's the fact that it's a joke. And you'd be like, well, yeah, obviously that's what Chibi means. But it says, no. Fiction and reality is one thing. But to be able to make jokes about any sort of subject, comedy is it's something I'm passionate about. I think stand-up comedy, for example, is the highest form of art out there. The idea of just walking out on a stage and using, just your own thoughts that you've concocted and crafted for God knows how long a workshop to make an entire audience of people feel the greatest emotion they could ever have, joy, full-on belly laughter. That is such an important thing just in life in general, right? Because you've got to have that yin-yang. You've got no happiness, no sadness, sadness, no happiness, the whole nine. And so once you start the softening of language to such a degree where people can't even make jokes anymore, that is the ultimate degradation of society. I find that worse. I mean this. I find the idea that you can't make jokes even more abhorrent than the idea of dudes cutting their cocks off, putting a dress on, and magically thinking they're women.
Clip. So before I play this clip, yes, this is Etika. May he rest in peace. He was a good man, a good content creator. He had a massive impact on the content creation space, and he is duly missed. I miss him a lot. I remember watching him, and I really wish I got to know him more before his passing. I wish I could have seen his content grow. The reason why I'm showing this clip is to showcase that despite everything that Etika went through and all the darkness that happened, even he was capable of separating fiction from reality. And so let's play this clip.
The video. It's a great video, but bro, where's that girl from? Now, that's a girl that I definitely have a couple of porn images saved on my computer. I've seen her a lot. There's a lot of good foot stuff with her too. But which character is...
Black dudes ain't breaking the stereotype. I said in a video a while ago, and I got roasted in the comments being like, it's not a black guy thing. About how everyone with a foot fetish I know, every individual with a foot fetish I know, black. I don't know if that's normal. I don't know, but every individual I know and I'm friends with and I'm chill with got a foot fetish, they all happen to be black. Dude is adding that list. So for all y'all that keep telling me it's not a black dude thing, the black dudes need to stop talking about how much they love feet. If you don't want me to think it's a racial thing, then come on, black dudes, step it. Oh my God, I said step it up. Fuck.
I've never actually seen her before. I thought it was just like some fan-made character, but it's actually somebody from a show. Okay, figure that. And it's from something that's incest-worthy. What the fuck? Ero Manga Sensei? Really? I got hella porn of her, man.
They're even talking about Lolly in his chat. I think you probably saw that. And you have people already trying to virtue signal right here in the bottom, but overall, content creators just did not give a fuck. They didn't care. They didn't care in the 2010s because the majority, more or less, they were able to separate fiction from reality. But for some reason, when we shifted into the 2020s and there was a lot of virtue signalers that joined into the community, it caused this conversation to explode to where people started to self-censor themselves and even want to censor fiction that doesn't harm anyone, just pixels and everything. And it's very clear the conversation around it. And I really do wonder what would have happened if Etika was still around. Would he still make comments like this, or would he have been canceled for comments like this?
Or better yet, would he have avoided being canceled for comments like this by self-censoring? Because that's what a lot of these motherfuckers do. A lot of these motherfuckers don't want to be canceled, so they self-censor. Some of them even go so far back as to, like, edit their own content, remove certain videos, so that people can't go back and find the way they used to make jokes and try and cancel them. Because that's what cancellation really is, right? Cancellation is oftentimes when they're going back and finding shit they said or did 5-10 years ago, holding that against them the whole nine. But that's neither here nor there. Point is that, and again, to me, that is even worse. Because if you're going to be cool making these sorts of jokes and whatnot, how about you stand by your damn convictions? Now, again, I don't know this guy. Apparently he's dead, so RIP and all that. Nothing against him, no shade. I'm just talking about in the general concept of content creations. You're going to say some shit, you're going to make some jokes and whatnot, stand by it.
I don't really know, but I wanted to show this clip just to showcase even Etika. He was able to separate fiction from reality. This right here is XQC. You might have seen this drama that popped up about 2 weeks ago. I believe Hirohei and even Rev covered this. But this clip showcases XQC himself playing a straight up a lolly game in VR, and I think it speaks enough. He clearly is also someone that is able to separate reality from fiction, but thanks to the time period, thanks to the 2020s and the conversation around these topics, his stance obviously is very different. I mean, look at his stance right here. Pause the video and you can read it. It's very...
Oh, we'll go back. How come a lot of anime have a lot of voices, songs that sound like children, lullabies, and people love that? I feel like it might be fueling part of them that's generally a threat to society, the threat to society validates them. I find that to be retarded. How come a lot of anime have a lot of voices and songs that sound like children? Again, because it's part of the culture. It's part of the culture, and people love that. Feel like it might be fueling a part of them that's generally a threat to society or validates them. I mean, look. SQC ain't ever been credited with an overabundance of schooling, right? You ever hear XQC try and sit there and talk politics? I'm sure he's a nice guy, man. Sure he's a nice guy. I don't fucking know. Well, I do know. He doesn't at least sound like he's all there up top, so.
Is very different. I mean, look at his stance right here. Pause the video and you can read it. It's very clear that there's a lot of content creators that are ashamed or try to distance from this, or even in general try to not even have a conversation about this because of just the amount of slander and risk to their very brand and also life, because you have people that cannot separate problematic fiction from reality.
And here's the deal. It's interesting. You know, he says that sort of slander and whatnot. I've made this abundantly clear. And if you're watching my video, let's say you're a first-time watcher. I don't know if you're a first-time watcher. I get a lot of first-time watchers on my videos. You know, obviously, you know, your subscribers, followers, all that got to come from somewhere. I was having a conversation with a fellow content creator literally yesterday. And we were talking about algorithmic stuff and how to best optimize. And, like, for the most part, I do my best to try and, like, follow the algorithm, maintain the algorithm, make sure the things I'm doing and saying and whatnot can get clicks. But by the same token, YouTube's made some changes. And a lot of those changes focus on the lowest common denominator. The dumbest motherfuckers on the internet. Just dumb as a box of damn rocks. And I was being told, like, hey, you should change X, Y, Z to get more views and whatnot. I was like, no. No, that's one particular thing I'm not going to change. I might change some other stuff. I'll fall in line with the algorithm that trends, because that's what you got to do to stay relevant. But there was one thing he asked of me. I'm not going to say what it is or anything. But it was a relatively simple ask. But because it was relatively simple, it only benefits the simple-minded. And I don't want that. I don't want to cultivate an army of fucking retards. Right? If I can have, like, a smaller audience, but y'all are smarter, to me that seems a whole lot more beneficial. Like, the idea of dumbing shit down and getting more views, more followers, whatnot, but then these are going to be the same army of drones that might end up wanting to cancel you or throwing bitch fits because they can't understand the high-minded points that I make in my, oh so esoteric and eloquent 4 and 5 hour fucking streams. Yeah, no, needless to say, it's such a problem on the platform, and yeah, we'll leave it at that.
It's crazy, honestly. And it's like, I've always made this statement, but just because something makes you uncomfortable, for instance, a fictional drawing or something, or a game, doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. It's uncomfortable, okay. If it makes you that uncomfortable, don't engage with the content, don't read it, don't watch it. It doesn't mean it shouldn't exist. It's like, you don't see this much pushback towards the content within Game of Thrones. There's a lot of screwed up content in the Game of Thrones books, by the way, not just in the TV shows. And for some reason, that gets a complete pass. Completely A-okay. But when it comes to anime, no. You can't have lolly characters or anything like that, or you need to be canceled, harassed, and potentially killed because of it. It's actually insane, the amount of virtue signaling around this topic, and how many people are trying to distance themselves from it to try to appease these individuals that are already schizos, that have, I'm going to just be blunt, if you see a real person in a fictional drawing or game, I think you have a mental illness. I'm just going to be honest. I think you do. I would also like to remind everybody, back in the
I told y'all, I figured he'd probably bring this. I'm going to be real. I knew he would bring this up. Everybody knows this, because this was such a thing on YouTube back in the day. Boku no Pico reactions. This was such a thing. Everybody remembers this time on YouTube. Well, those of us that are around, at least.
Almost every massive content creator was doing live reactions to Boku no Pico. Now, if you don't know what that is, recommend someone that's ever watched anime to watch that. That was a typical meme. If someone was asking for recommendations of an anime or manga, someone would recommend them Boku no Pico.
And they still do, by the way. They still do. I get that comment in my chat, I'd say probably at least once a month. Yo, Leon, you ever seen Boku no Pico? Shut the fuck up! Maybe. I'll let you decide.
And here's the crazy part about this entire conversation. PewDiePie reacted to it. I know, like, a bunch of different ones, like Giga reacted to it, Anime Man reacted to it. There was a lot of, like, massive content creators in the space that I think have privated their videos since then. They might be archived somewhere, but there's a lot of content creators in the 2010s that were just straight up reacting to Boku no Pico. It was trending. It was a cultural phenomenon. It was like a big trend in the YouTube space to react to that or talk about it. And here's the big thing about this. It's very obvious that, once again, these content creators were able to separate fiction from reality. But because of the time period and because of these schizos that have pushed people to be scared, they're not speaking up anymore. People are scared. They're scared of being harassed, slandered, their image completely tarnished because...
No. I mean, yes. Yeah, Chibi's not wrong. But I think it's worse than that. I do. I don't think it's just fear. Now, there are some individuals that's probably the case. But I think for a great portion of the others, maybe a majority, I don't know, maybe, they actually believe this shit now. The cultural landscape has changed so much. The Overton window has shrunk so much that a lot of these people that did do this stuff 9, 10 years ago, believed this stuff 9, 10 years ago, whatever it may be, they actually have changed, and they have changed for the worse. They have gone along with this sort of, postmodern neo-Marxist ideology that has led them to this line of thinking. Now, maybe they started off scared. Maybe they initially faked like they were going along with this because it's better to avoid getting canceled or whatnot. But here's the dealio. You tell yourself a lie long enough, you begin to believe that lie. And that's why things happen with a lot of these folks. A lot of them might not have genuinely believed this dumb shit then, but they felt like they had to or risk, career suicide. But then they just did to start to fall for it and believe it. Hook, line, and fucking sinker.
Of fictional characters. And I've already talked about this already, but I'm just going to say a little bit more of a stronger stance. I've already had my life threatened at this point. People have tried to end my life. They've tried to ruin my career, throw my face in the mud, call me all sorts of crazy things like I'm doing absolute insane things. At this point, I'm just going to be spiteful. I believe in my stances, but now I'm going to push them a lot harder. I'm going to be spiteful and push what I believe in a lot harder. If you're trying to silence me, no, it's not working like.
Going get Chibi reviews on his villain arc. You got Chibi. Look, I've criticized Chibi a lot. Y'all watch my videos regularly. You know I criticize Chibi a lot. Frankly, a lot of the time, because he doesn't go hard enough. Good. Go harder, motherfucker. These are a cancer. These tourists, these individuals that want to change and alter the medium and the genres and everything that we love, we need to crush them. They tried to murder him, guys. I want to be explicitly clear. They tried to murder him. They swatted him. That is an attempt on his life. There's a reason it is a federal offense. Yeah, go harder. Go harder. Crush these cockroaches beneath your boot.
That doesn't, I'm not going to be silenced out of fear and people trying to come after me for that. So, no, it's sad that a lot of these content creators are very scared to speak up and make these jokes anymore, because it's clear that they don't really believe in this type of stuff. It's more about optics, and they don't want to be
for a lot of them, that's
associated
true, yes.
with this because they're concerned on the backlash that the communities will have towards them. And it's basically the exact same thing with certain conversations, difficult conversations within politics. And I know people don't want to hear about that, but it's the actual truth. Which reminds me, all this virtue signaling that people do that have tried to end my life, so to speak, it's funny that someone would waste all these police resources to come after me, or this time with other content creators or fictional characters, when there's literally the Epstein files that have been released this week, and has been an absolute bombshell within the...
And if you were watching this around the first hour it dropped, then just so you know, we'll be talking about that live on air. So go ahead and make sure that you hop on over to Words of Paradise, subscribe, watch me live, because we're going to go over some of the Epstein Files stuff. It's going to be a doozy. Y'all won't want to miss it.
Internet space, and so many conspiracy theorists and stuff are being vindicated by some of the stuff that's been revealed within these Epstein files. And it's crazy that despite actual victims and people having issues in real life and still not having any justice with these victims, people are more focused on fictional characters. You notice that?
Yeah, because these people live in a fantasy world devoid of logic. Devoid of logic, right? Bill Gates should be in prison. Really, should be tarred and feathered. Same thing for the Clintons, half the British royal family. I mean, we can go on and on. But let's be all upsetty spaghetti because of anime titties. Virtue signaling fucks.
How disgusting that is. It goes back to the whole circle of virtue signaling. It's not about caring about real people. It's about making yourself look good. That's it. That's it. And here's the thing. My image has already been destroyed. It has. People, already know what they want to think about me online. And the people that are here already know how I am. They know the truth. And that's the matter. The point of the matter here is that, why would I want to do optics and censor myself for people that want me dead? Nah.
He's right. Once you bow and kowtow to the mob, nothing you do will ever be good enough. Ever. You can apologize. They don't want your apology. They want to fucking control you. Chibi could tomorrow flip all of his opinions on a dime and be sincere about it and it still would not be enough for them. They would want a lifetime of repentance and bowing and kowtowing to their feet. And maybe, just maybe, they'll allow his ancestors, assuming they haven't fucking castrated him and allowed him to procreate, to get in with the good boys club. And trust me, when it comes to these, loons on the internet, you don't want to go anywhere near what's called a good boys club.
Not happening. But also showcasing that they don't even care about the things that they try to fight for, because they're not trying to advocate and talk about what's going on in the Epstein files. They care more about a fictional character from ZZZ than anything in that.
And you want to know why? Actually, you know what? I'll hold that thought. I'll just stow that. We'll let him finish. He's almost done.
Really goes to show where our society has went. And this is why I fight back against this. And I am a voice. I try to be a voice for people, because I'm not getting scared off of this. Anyways, I will leave it at that. I just wanted to talk about this. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. Leave a like on this video. It will help.
The video's going to be in the description. Banger video. Make sure you give it a like. We did just steal some of his content. But here's the deal. He said something pretty important there at the end. He said something pretty important. He was talking about how, people are afraid, right? How people are afraid. That's why they're not talking about the Epstein files. That's why. That's the actual reason. People talk. He was talking about how people don't want to make these jokes about lollies anymore. Don't want to watch anime or play video games about lollies anymore. Because they're afraid. Then you got the Epstein files, right? And people are terrified to talk. Why are people terrified to talk about it? Well, for one, because they'll blacklist them. For another, and I'm talking about YouTubers, by the way. I'm talking about content creators. The videos don't perform well for the vast majority of people. Like, if you're a big wig political channel, like Tim Pool, Asmongold, whatever, okay, you can get away with it. Vast majority of normal folk like you and me, we made videos about the Epstein files, down. Done. Dude, dead on arrival, son. Dead on arrival. Now, YouTube ain't gonna stop, aren't just gonna hard cap all videos about it, because that would be really sus, and people would be like, hey, YouTube, why the fuck are you censoring anything and everything about these publicly released files that came from the government? That's really weird. So they're letting people skate by that they knew were going to cover it anyway. But by and large, it is a actually massively censored topic. If you're a normal, let's say you're a low tier YouTuber like your boy here, 10, 20,000 subscribers. You're used to getting somewhere between 1 and 10K views on your videos. You drop an Epstein files video, bro, that shit ain't even getting a thou wow. Shit ain't even getting a thou wow. So people are scared to cover it, right? And they don't want to cover it because it's going to hurt their bottom line. It's going to hurt their image. It could put them in YouTube jail. It could get them shadow banned, whatever reason it may be. So what do? They take the easy route out, right? They take the easy road. They want to talk about fictional fucking characters. It's a joke. They literally tried to murder Chibi Reviews 2 days ago. Murder. I want to make sure y'all understand that. I'm using that term intentionally. They tried to murder Chibi Reviews 2 days ago. When he said at the beginning of this, that could have been his last day. Instead of doing this video today, we could have been doing an RIP Chibi Reviews. In another universe, there's another Leon out there that is. Nah, that's fucked up. That's terrible. That's horrible. My point is, that is what's going down in this here town, alright? Is that these people wanted him dead. Why? For his opinion on lollies? Maybe. I actually think it was probably the ice stuff. I think it was probably his very, very tame, almost fence-sitter comments on ice the other day. That's neither here nor there. The point is, they tried to kill him. Whether it was because of ice, or whether it was because he likes seeing anime titties, is irrelevant. These people are monsters, and they need to be destroyed. These are my opinions. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Let me know on X. You can find me at Bolt the Word, and please do subscribe. I'm a nerdy news channel. I cover nerdy news every day. Not always about the anime scene, but video games, movies, music, Magic the Gathering, you name it. Check us out on Instagram at wordsparadise_Leon, and become a member for $4.99 a month. You can join the Discord. Choose the articles we go over on a day-to-day basis. Choose the videos we react to on the daily streams, and of course get involved with over 250 other vital idols. We are a bright, beautiful, glowing, vibrant community that I cannot wait to grow even further, because we do care about diversity. Only one kind of diversity. Diversity of thought that's interesting to you. Join the Discord and subscribe. Until next time, it's all here in the Nerdosphere. This has been Words of Paradise.